Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 152nd Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-host Tommy S. and soon-to-be Andrew Normand. Today's topic is growth through pain. Would you like to share what this means to you, Tom, and why you were happy to pick that and come here to discuss that with us today? Oh, and by the way, welcome back. I love you.
Thanks, Milan. I love you too, man. Thank you for having me back again. This is a fun treat for me to come on your podcast and get to pick topics that I I was going to say that I like. I don't necessarily like. If you haven't realized yet, I pick topics that I need to work on that are very poignant for the moment, things that I'm struggling with currently in my life. Hopefully to get some clarity with me by talking about it, and also to get some of yours and Andrew's great insights into things that are current struggle for me in my life. So yes, growth through pain. That's that I'm going through that right now. I'm going through growth due to pain. And that's unfortunately, I think, the time that I grow the most, right? When I'm forced to, when I find myself put in a position through my own actions or inaction where I find certain parts of my life, whatever it may be, physical, emotional, relationship, whatever, so unpleasant and painful, frankly, that I'm forced to change. You know, I can only get the world to change so much, other people to change so much, and by so much, I mean pretty much not at all. And, you know, by default, my human nature, my whatever, alcoholism, if you want to call it, I believe it's more just us as humans, not as addicts, try to change the world first, change the person that we're in a relationship with first, change the situation that we're in first. And ultimately, we are very ineffective at doing that. And in doing so, I find myself in pain. And, you know, whether it be a long amount of time that I'm trying to change other people, other places, other things, and a lot of pain that I find myself in, or as, you know, time ticks by and I get more experience in life and as a sober person, and I evolve more as an adult. Hopefully that amount of time gets shorter and the pain gets less, and I figure out more quickly what I need to do to actually grow and feel better, and that's change myself. So that's what it means to me. That's what I'm working on now. I wish I could come on here. Maybe I'll come on here another time one day and tell you about how the growth has happened and I am this evolved human, and boy, am I happy that's in my rearview mirror. But that's not today, man. Today I'm in it, and I'm doing the work, and it's all the things. It's painful, it's hopeful, it's frustrating, it's, you know, enlightening. It's all the things right now. So, you know, I'm in it. I'm in the trenches.
I love that. And, you know, I always tell people, I'm like, you know, share something you're either enthusiastic about for a topic or something you're struggling with. And I really think that picking the one you're struggling with offers the opportunity for the most growth for everybody. You know, like the these conversations for me, I find to be very healing and very, they often give me some kind of direction of something that maybe I've overlooked, or something, that I get somebody else's wisdom imparted with me without having to get the scabs to heal from it. And
Yes, always. I'm a selfish guy, man. Like I'll admit that for sure. I'm a selfish individual and I want to get something out of this. I come in here with a purpose, right? Like I want to grow through this
mm,
experience. And for me, I've said this before, I think every time I've talked with you guys, this for me is therapeutic. It's like an AA meeting,
mm,
sitting down with two guys, whether we're recording it or not, sitting
yeah,
down with two guys and talking about recovery, especially on a forum like this where we're focused on talking about recovery. If it was just me and you and Andrew sitting around a table bullshitting, we would go off on tangents and, talk about other, but this keeps us very much on task.
mm,
And it's super helpful personally for me. I walk away from these conversations being like, man, I feel way better. That was like an AA meeting on steroids with two guys who I respect and value their opinion and listen to everything they have to say. Um, it's about a topic that I really fucking want to talk about. So for me, that if there's a selfish motive behind doing these with you, and I uh, I get something out of each and every conversation and each and every question that you guys have and comment that people make. It's I come on here to learn and grow and feel better at the end of it. So yeah, that's why I pick these topics. I don't want to pick a topic that I have all figured out. Because while that might be helpful for other people, and there aren't many topics that I have all
mm,
figured out, but that might be helpful for other people, but it's not what I need that day. You know what I mean? I don't get
mm.
off on sharing shit that I'm an expert on. Um, I find it far more helpful and frankly far more uh, authentic, when I talk about shit that I'm not good at or I'm having a hard time with, because that's what's happening on that given day.
Absolutely. And like, I think for me, man, I was raised like I was a math guy. And so as a math guy, it was like I just wanted perfection. Like I wanted to score really well on my test. I didn't want the pain of making mistakes and learning from them. Like it was, if you look in our society, as children, we're very rarely taught that, growth comes from pain. It was not, there was not, out of all the signs in all the classrooms I was ever in, I never saw a sign that said growth comes from pain. I never in a classroom. And so for me, that
Huh.
it's been a real eye opener in recovery, and something that you know that I'm having to learn to become accustomed to, and I like it. Like I've never been so happy in my life to be wrong as now. As long as I'm seeing that wrong, like with a vehicle for that growth.
Yep.
Like sometimes the pain when you can't see the lesson yet, it just hurts. Like who's kidding who? Like it's not like, whoa, I'm feeling pain. Here we go, I'm gonna grow tons. And like, of course, that's the ideal philosophy or mentality to have. But that for me is, just somewhere I'm not quite there yet. But it is starting to come. Like even now, if I can't feel that enthusiasm for the lesson, I at least have started saying to myself, "Ooh, there must be a pretty good lesson in this one because it hurts a lot." Like there's
Hmm.
some days, and so now, Andrew, with the topic of growth through pain, do you want to share what that means to you and why you were happy to come here and discuss it? And by the way, I love both you guys, and I'm grateful you slid in here, Andrew.
I always got to slide in, man. Tom, good to see you, man. I missed you. I missed you. I missed you. I really haven't had a chance to tell you how you changed my life so much since the last time we've seen each other. I know Milan has reminded you several times, I'm sure.
Good to see you,
Man,
man.
good to see you, bro. Good to spend some time with you, man. I've been looking forward to this. And it's funny because I popped in and you were talking about how you like to talk about the hairy shit, right? And it's funny because every time like one of our podcasts pop up or and it's the topic pops up, I always like cringe a little bit when it's a topic from you because I'm like, bro, I got to talk about some shit today. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
no
can't,
fluff, right?
bro. It's like
No fluff.
I have this like photographic memory, and so there's a couple things that just are like etched in my mind with you, and it's like we want to come in here and wax poetic about with all the literature and all that stuff. I want to talk about the real shit. So it's just kind of it's funny. You literally were like talking my thoughts coming into this thing when I popped on. So. But thank you, man. Thank you for coming back on and spending some more time. And this is selfishly a lot of therapy for us too, man, when we do this. So like pain can come in a lot of different ways for me. And while for me, like that initial experience of pain, whatever it is, can seem overwhelming. What I've learned to do is kind of use it as a catalyst, right, for positive growth, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever it is, to be able to push through that pain, having faith through that pain, faith, finding answers in the hurt, trying to find answers in that pain, to be able to change. And that's kind of what it takes from me, man, is pushing through that pain to actually change. I know when I was getting loaded constantly, I would tell myself mentally that I was going to change. And then it really didn't matter after that. It was like mentally, I told myself I was going to do it. And so as long as I feel better in the moment and get through whatever I'm getting through, I really didn't revisit it. It wasn't like something I revisited and said, hey, okay, I shut down or I didn't in that moment. Why? How can I grow from it? There was no afterthought process. So as I was reading more about it, I see it's referred to as PTG, post-traumatic growth. Obviously it says developing a renewed appreciation for life, stronger relationships, and increased personal growth, a deeper sense of purpose. I didn't know there was like a clinical term for it, but I saw that
Huh.
when I was doing some research on it. It popped up. So, and how do we do that? Like, for me, it involved, shifting in my perspective, my overall perspective. Um, got to clean out, got to stop using whatever substances you're using. But I had to learn to reframe that pain almost, um, as no longer this obstacle that I couldn't really get through, but something that I needed to get through so that I could continue on in this process. Um, being able to focus on future goals, realistic goals, keeps me motivated. And that acceptance piece, Milan, the acceptance. I gotta have some acceptance and some mindfulness going forward, to be able to learn from my mistakes and not have them just cripple me like they used to. Like I used to make a mistake. I'm like, well, I fucked up, and oh well, oh well, and that's not the case anymore. Um, so I'm learning to build resilience and strength through that pain today. Finding new purpose for my life, healthy purpose, and learning from my past, not allowing that past to enslave me anymore. Trying to use it as my reference guide now. I try to use my past as my reference guide and no longer have it keep me chained up and behind bars. I can go back and revisit it as I need to, and have it keep me on my toes going forward, because I got to stay moving, man. I got to stay moving, or this thing's gonna catch up to me. So yeah, man, I love the topic. I love you, both of you, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad I can be here today, with y'all. And I love y'all.
Tom, would you like to start the questions today? You ask me, and we'll go around that way. Then Andrew and
Wow. I feel like I've made it on the Recovery Rising podcast. I'm official. Yeah, I'll start the questions.
you were official the first
Bro,
time you came on. You left a stamp in our
you
hearts that
you
changed our lives
branded this.
forever.
You're branded on the background. We should have like a little TS Smith, like right here, unbranded, like when you came. Surrender.
I'll take it. Okay, I'll start with the questions. So, can you think of a painful experience or experiences in your recovery that have pushed you to discover a deeper sense of faith or connection to something greater than yourself?
Yes. Okay. So I know this is going to seem kind of strange to some people, but to some of us coming into recovery, our finances are absolutely catastrophic. Okay. And I built my home 12 years ago, started building with my own hands. And so getting into like such a catastrophic financial position this winter where it was looking like there was a good chance we were in the next 6 months, like it looked like in January, like we were potentially going to lose our place, you know? And I gotta say, I have the expectation of continuing to live in my house. It is something that I've not been able to relinquish and free myself of, and that was causing me a massive amount of anxiety. Like it was something that I just wasn't able to surrender that anxiety, and it was a conversation I had with my sponsor where like he kind of said, like, look at your surrender for your addiction, look at all of the fact is of how you're coping with this stuff. Like you're saying that you want more ability to cope. He's like, but dude, he's like, I probably would have buckled under all that pressure a while ago. Like you haven't given any gratitude for that, for what you've already received. And so, I've really reframed my prayers so that I am giving gratitude, for things, for these struggles now, and for the very tiny incremental abilities to cope during those struggles and my ability to grow through those. And so that reframing of that, like 100% has changed my anxiety level on that particular thing, but also it's deepened my faith in seeing that value in the surrender and also in that discomfort and that change. Like it's been, like night and day. And now, I've reframed that financial anxiety into for the like the last week and a half. My entire family, we are only referring to financial abundance.
Hmm.
And listen to this. There was like two things that we had to sell that have been for sale forever, and they will free us from one of the stages of our finances. And inside that 10 days, we've received offers on both of them. It's like
Wow.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And like, man, like my family is walking around with faith in that reframing and that difference of mindset. So that's a really powerful one that's literally has physical evidence for me right now for the faith. I'm gonna leave
That's
Great.
that there.
beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. Andrew, same question. What
Yes.
experience or experiences in your recovery, painful experiences, have pushed you to discover a deeper sense of faith or connection to something greater than yourself?
Well, a lot of things came to my mind when you first asked that. That's a great question. The steps in general, I had to push through a lot of pain when I was doing the steps. That's kind of like the main one that just popped into my mind. But then as Milan was answering, um, a couple things, the withdrawal, like the withdrawal and the pain and withdrawal and that like that early recovery. Like I remember early recovery, just holding on for dear life, Tom. Like sitting in these rooms, so uncomfortable. Not knowing what color the walls are, like not knowing how many people are in the room. Hearing words but not really putting together all the sentences. I remember people reading the traditions uncomfortably, like, and I didn't really understand why all these words were going together, and it was just everything was uncomfortable. Like to listen to words were uncomfortable. Everything was uncomfortable, and I was on like when I first got clean, I was on a maintenance medication that I had to wean myself off of. So there was like that early recovery pain and that withdrawal that I was initially coming off of, and then I was on this substance that was supposedly masking most of those bad feelings or the pain. But is it masking all the psychological pain, the physical pain? Like there's a lot of weird shit that goes into that. And being able to just trust and hold on, man. And I don't know if it was just for just survival purposes or what, because the easy way to do it would just to be go back to my old way of doing things. But I mean, I chalk it up to God, you know, my higher power, who I choose to call God, man. Call him what you want. Get off drugs, God, you know, group of drug addicts, whatever you want to call it. I choose to call him God, and he led me to like keep coming to these meetings. I had a couple of people around me that were like bringing me to these meetings, and I just remember all that pain I was going through, man. At that point, like I can physically feel it now. You know, taking breath was painful. Just breathing was painful. And I mean that in a sense where like everything's uncomfortable, Tom. You know what I mean? Like when you stop doing that DOC or that you stop drinking or whatever, I know especially with drinking, shit, you can have your skin crawling and shit, man. Like there's a lot of things that happen when you stop drinking and doing those drugs that our bodies are freaking the hell out, you know? And so going through that early pain, I remember when I was in a meeting, and I remember being in a meeting wanting to be there and not having to be there. You know, there was that shift where I'm like, bro, like I kind of need to be here, and I can't wait to be here again, because this is what's going to keep me alive. You know, a lot of things came into that. It was holding myself accountable to the group. I started getting in service, and doing things like that just was helped me push through that pain. There was a lot of things that helped me push through that pain. But it is a lot for me surrounding myself with people that are moving forward in that same direction, that I can get myself surrounded with, and then continue doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like it's working for them. They're staying clean long term. They got a little clean time. Like I'm just going to do what they do until it becomes my deal, till it becomes what I do, because it works, and y'all tell me it works, so I'm gonna believe you. A couple other things, I lost a couple of people early on in recovery too, you know, good friends. I was told you're gonna lose people if you stay clean long term. You're gonna lose people, and people are gonna owe you money. I heard those two things. It's kind of strange. It's the two opposite sides, and both of those are absolutely true. There's people out there that owe me money that I never would think that would owe me money right now, whether it's $20 or $60, and that's fine. It's cool. You know, I've learned to give. You know, I don't let people borrow things. I give it away knowing I'm probably not going to get it back, and I'm okay with that. That's another shift for me. Being able to do that is crazy to me. Like you can take this money and I really don't expect it back because I love you, and like I know you'll give it back or not, and I'm okay moving forward, man. It's part of my growth. You know, I go give that homeless guy $1 because it makes me feel better, um, and because I can. And then letting go, and this is another big one for me, letting go of old toxic relationships, Tom. Like my father, who was my best friend, I still consider him my best friend right now. We're starting to get back in contact, but I had to literally let him go as if he died, as if he passed away. And because I had to do that for myself because it's so toxic. Like him and I together are so toxic. And so now that I've got like, you know, almost 3.5 years clean, it's starting to come back around where I can have, you know, a good loving relationship, knowing that like my past is not going to imprison me. My past with him is not going to imprison our relationship. And moving forward, I can move forward with him with love, and knowing that the man brought me into this world, man. You know, that guy brought me into this world, but having to push somebody out of your life that lives right next to you, or, you know, in the same area as you, that you grew up, that you did everything with, and you learned everything with, and having to do that and force yourself to do that, even though they're still alive, is really painful, Tom. To lose people and essentially them die in your life, but they're still alive, is really tough, especially when you're trying to deal with the mental aspect of this thing too. That's what I found. So it's balancing all of that. It's being able to lean on your new network and be able to talk through these times, get on a podcast, get on a meeting and share what you're going through, because a lot of times it can be real easy just to go back to the old way of doing things, which we can get back into real quick. I've seen, you know, people relapsing and things around me like Like it's just I can't do that. I can't do that for myself. So that was a great question. Thank you for asking it.
I love that. It's like you have a diamond on your hat or something, Tom. When you move that window,
That's my light.
it's
It's like
it's hilarious.
like Morse code.
That's
Like
somebody just turned on a light in the closet back there. Now my head's blocking it.
Yeah. You've got now to ask yourself that question.
Sure. So I'll try to touch on both of the topics you guys talked about, the financial thing, because I felt that when you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, for sure. That's a big one. And then Andrew, when you talked about that early recovery, I was like, ooh, that too. So I'm going to talk about both of them in chronological order. Andrew, early recovery, withdrawal, man, when you were talking about that, it brought it back so heavy. I went through very intense, long withdrawals from multiple drugs. This past time I got sober. This past time I got sober, I didn't drink. It was 8 years ago. I just celebrated an anniversary in July.
hell yeah, man.
Yeah, but I haven't had a drink since 2012, which is what now, 13 years
13.
almost.
Hell yeah,
But
man.
but but I went back out on pills, on multiple types of pills. And the withdrawal from the opiates were so fucking intense for the first week, and
They're the
then
worst, bro.
the benzos were even worse, and
Yep.
those lasted like 6 months. So I was sitting in meetings, not having had a drink in 5 years at that point, um, going through the most fucking insane withdrawals, and what you said, just like holding on for dear life, really resonated with me, and the faith that I had that things would get better, um, was because I was sober before. I was gifted sobriety the first time through struggles. Granted, it was hard. It wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't a piece of cake, but it was far fucking easier than it was the second time. And the second time, I would go into these meetings and just spill my guts. This is how I feel. This is what's going on in my life. I need help. I don't feel normal. I don't feel good. I don't know what to do. Um, and through it all, I had this like thought that it's good. I know that that there's a light at the end of the tunnel because I've seen it, because I've been there. I had relief. I had serenity. I had a spiritual experience the first time. I had all these things, and then I, decided decided to go back out, and getting that back was just shy of impossible. It happened, but it was the hardest thing I've ever done by far. Um, and you're talking about withdrawal management and that sort of thing. I opted not to do that because of what you were saying, like the mental aspect of it, and it fucks with you
It's
in
the
all
worst.
sorts of
It's
different
the
ways.
worst, bro. It's
I
the
was
worst.
like, if I'm gonna get sober, I'm gonna get sober. So I'm gonna quit all this stuff cold turkey. And I don't know that I recommend it. Maybe, I mean, for what it's worth, like I started counting days that day. I mean, I was sober. It was unbelievably brutal. And there were times when I thought I need to drive myself to the hospital for sure, or have someone drive me to the hospital. I definitely couldn't drive myself, but I decided to cut them all. And for what it's worth, that was my decision. And I don't know if it was a good decision or it was a bad decision, but the reason I made it was because of what you said. Like, it's going to be a mind fuck for me to like try to wean myself off something else, knowing that I'm
Yep.
not sober. And I wanted to
Yep.
go back into the AA rooms and be like, yo, I'm here and I'm sober, or NA rooms or whatever. So that's why I decided to do that. Let me see if I can move this down a little bit.
And it doesn't mess you up, and it's like a maintenance drug, so it's not like getting you high. So then you're mentally, it just wraps itself around those pain receptors. It doesn't activate anything, so just
totally
dulls the whole thing. And it's really, really hard mentally to be like, get off something that's not really doing anything for you, but it's keeping you alive. It's like
right.
a weird
Totally.
thing.
That's why I decided not to do it. I wanted to, and I knew it would just prolong whatever I was going through. It
Yeah.
would take longer to get to where ultimately I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's listening to this that is in early recovery or is going through some sort of withdrawal, whether it be drugs or alcohol, and alcohol withdrawal is just as gnarly as any fucking drug withdrawal you can find.
Have seizures.
Yeah, totally. It's terrible. My 2 cents on this is it gets better. It does. And I know that sounds fluffy when you're in it. And it frankly pissed me off a little bit when I was in it.
Don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens,
It
like all that
was,
kind of shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was so brutal. But the thing that kept me going were two things. One, the fact that I already knew that it was possible. I knew what was on the other side if I could just get there. And it took really like a year to get there for all of the shit, the physical stuff, the emotional stuff, the family baggage, all the shit that my relapse caused. It took me a year to like come out on the other side of that. And it was a brutal year, but I grew a ton, probably more than any other year in my entire life. Like that was, that was a transformative year for sure in every single which way. Um, I would say that, and I went in, and every meeting I went to, and I went to meetings where people knew me, where people had known me sober before. I went to new meetings where nobody knew me. I went to meetings if I was in another city. But every meeting I went into, I went and I told people exactly what I was going through on that given day. And, it saved me, I think. I went there and said, I'm fucked right now. Like I am in a real pickle here, and this is why. And this is a very brief recap of my current situation and how I'm feeling about it. And I just need to say that. And I would say it. And inevitably, somebody would come up to me after the meeting and say one of two things. They would say, hey, man, that really was powerful what you said, and that really helped me. That's what I needed to hear today. And more people said that to me when I was struggling and going through that shit than have said since I've been sober and, imparted my infinite wisdom upon people.
And
You
you're
know
like,
what I
what are you
mean? Like
talking about? What are you talking
more
about? How'd
people
that
are
help you?
like, more people are like, bro, that was the best shit I've heard in a long time. And I
Needed
really
that.
appreciate you sharing your struggles with me. Um, that's what we come to hear, I believe. And that would help, that would um can give me a reason to continue on, like thinking that, hey, maybe this struggle that I'm going through right now may be helpful for other people. So I'm gonna keep sharing it. And that was super empowering for me and really got me through. And the other thing that people would say is, hey man, I get it. I've been exactly where you are. And I know it. And, just to relate to that and have them relate to me and understand my pain and feel like I wasn't the only person in the world going through what I was going through was also very helpful. Um, and I wouldn't have gotten either one of those had I A, not gone to a meeting, or B, just gone to a meeting and said some normal bullshit. I had to go in there and I had to get honest and I had to get vulnerable and I had to tell people the truth as to what was going on with me on that day. And that I know saved my life. The willingness to do that, I don't even know if it was willingness, man. It was like desperation. Like I was so fucking desperate for anything to help me and how I was feeling. And that was the only thing that I could find that maybe took the slightest edge off for a brief period of time. So, um, anybody that's new, anybody that's struggling, especially anybody that's struggling with like physical withdrawals and shit like that, that's the ticket, man, because you can do all the crap. You could do the saunas and the ice baths and the fucking whatever, hot tubs and the this and the that and
You still got your head to deal with.
eat right and blah 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 and like try to take that edge off that way, and nothing helps like going to a meeting and talking to people who either need to hear what you're saying because they are in that position or will be in that position, or going to get some advice and some connection to somebody who has been where you're at right now. So that would be my advice in going through early recovery and that shit. And that, boy, man, like I said, you will, if you get through that, you will grow up that's the
Rigorous
thing.
honesty, man. They say rigorous honesty is the antidote to our disease thinking. That's exactly what you're talking about. Rigorous honesty
Yep.
on both sides of it. Hearing it and saying it is the only thing that's going to get you through.
It is the most intense growth process. And frankly, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
I hope I would wish nobody would have to experience that. And there are people right now that are experiencing it and experiencing worse, So that was the biggest period of growth that I went through in 1 year. Milan, to your point, the financial piece, I'm fine. Now let's fast forward 8 years. I am finding that to be the trickiest part of my recovery. And there's one of the 9-step promises is we won't have fear about financial insecurities. We will lose fear in financial insecurities. And while that may be true to an extent, sometimes it's certainly not true all the time for me. I wish it were. And it's so fascinating. And I don't know if it's like societal or whatever, like seeing things or being inundated with you need these things or other people around you with these things or whatever it is that like feeds this part of me that needs or thinks about what I don't have. That is, I fucking hate it. That's the bottom line. Like that's the most succinct way I can say it. I hate that part about me. I want it to change. I sometimes can get it to change. But the eye-opening moment for me happened at some point in my early recovery this round, maybe like 2 years in, where I was trying to sell a couple of things that I had. And I thought, once I sell these, I'm going to be all set. That's going to give me enough money that I'm never going to have this worry again. Never like this. I'm going to be cool. Like if I get these, like kind of in my mind in these like half-assed prayers, I was like, God, if I can sell these things, I'm never going to ask for anything again, that sort of thing. Because I truly thought like that was once I got there, I'd be comfortable and I wouldn't have to worry about it. And sure enough, they sold. And it's interesting you say I got offers for both of them on the same day, Milan. It's funny how that works when you were talking about that. I got offers for both of these things on the same day. And I sold both of them. And truly, there was some time where that financial insecurity left me. And these are all numbers on the computer screen at that point. You know what I mean? It's not like I was sitting on a pile of cash. It's just a fucking different number on a computer screen. And it made me feel safe. And it made me feel good. And it made me feel like I had flexibility to do more things and not worry about certain things and whatnot. And it did. It made me feel great for a minute. But pretty soon I realized that there's always the goalposts are always going to be moving. When you have a certain amount, you're going to spend a certain amount, or you're going to want that certain amount to be more. Eventually, the bottom line, the baseline catches up with where you're at, and you're looking at the next thing. The next thing is going to solve your problem. The next thing is going to give you that financial security that you thought was coming from the thing before, and that always is changing. And it will, and it dawned on me that I will never be able to achieve that point of comfort, of safety, of security, there will never be a number that will get me to that. It's not about the number. It's not about the next thing. It's an inside change that needs to happen. And right now, I'm at this point where I am nowhere near a number that would make me feel comfortable or the number that I was at before. You know what I mean? Nowhere near. I'm at a very different point in my life right now, and that's okay, right? That's all right. Um, I'm not saying that I've been successful with this fear of economic insecurity. Peace every day and all the time, I'm not, right? But I'm not living in it. I have this like in the back of my mind sense that everything's going to be okay. Now, I want that to be in the front of my mind. It's not there. I want it to be all the way in the front. I want to
Me
live
too.
in the idea that it is always going to be okay because it is. And the reason that I know that it's always going to be okay is because it always has been okay, right?
That's it.
It always has
Oh,
been. Yet I have a million examples in my life of why it's going to be okay and zero examples of why it isn't going to be okay. Yet for some reason I live in the, oh my
you
God,
want to
it's
lean in the
not going to
other.
be
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
which, which is fucking crazy, right? It's like
yeah.
completely counterintuitive to everything rational thought is. Um, but for some reason I can't seem to like completely nip it in the bud. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before in the past, but in AA or NA, you'll hear the phrase, thy will be done, right? And we can walk around all day saying, thy will be done. And that is like our prayer or our statement to our higher power saying that I know you've got this and I'm not in charge. And to me, I don't know, thy will be done doesn't necessarily flow off my tongue like I want it to, or my mental tongue. Um, so I try to walk around and say, I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. You know, when I start to feel squirrely, when, I start to stress out a little bit about finances or, we're talking about finances right now. So that, when I start to talk, so and so, the car broke down. We need to dump in a bunch of dough into this. Or, hey, this camp, your son wants to go to this camp. It's going to cost X amount of dollars. It's like, all right, well, what am I going to say? My kid can't go to this camp. It's, hey, I trust you. I trust you. So that's how I try to do it. And it helps. It's not perfect. It's better than it was. I don't lose sleep over it. I don't wake up in like paralyzing fear about it. I just try to say I trust you and go on. And it doesn't rule my life. Let's put it that way. It's not a non-issue. I want it to be a non-issue because it should be a fucking non-issue. Like I'm saying, I know I'm always gonna be okay because I always have been okay. So getting there, that's the goal line. And I'm not there for sure. Um, which is why I wanted to talk about it. If I had all the answers, I'd be, boy, I wouldn't come on podcast to talk about my
Mm-mm,
problems. I wouldn't have any
mm-mm,
problems. So
mm-mm. No.
this is something that I'm working on every day. It's top of mind, and it's very important to me. It's very important to me because it is so it bleeds into everything else. It affects my whole life. If I'm stressed out or worked up or, you know, thinking about finances, then ultimately I'm not as present with my kids. Ultimately, I'm not thinking about what I can do for my wife. Ultimately, I'm not, focused on helping other alcoholics. I've got this cloud hanging over me that affects everything in a negative light. And I don't want that, I don't want that for the way that it makes me feel. And I don't want that for the effect it has on the people that I'm around. So I'm working on that. I'm growing through that. It's super painful, man. It can be super, super painful. And yeah,
I
that's
love
what I
that.
got.
I love that, man.
Okay, Andrew, you ready for a question?
Of course.
Okay,
course.
at what point in your recovery did you really start to understand that all growth comes from pain of some sort? And are you willing to share about that time?
At what point? Well, I mean, it kind of goes into the end of my last answer, with the withdrawals and I mean, I had to really realize early on that pain was going to be something that I had to deal with and kind of tackle head on. And what I found is like, the most painful situations are the ones that I grow in the most in. The most painful situations that I come up at, and regardless of what it is, that's where I get the most growth and the most healing, long term, and I learn the most, and I get the experience that I need to be able to push through that same thing again, or something similar. Um, I had an original home group that I was a part of, that I got really close with a bunch of people in, and and there was one guy on there that I really got close with. I almost asked him to be my sponsor, and he ended up, after a little time, he was like acting like he was the sheriff of the meeting. Like, he would tell people that, he would try to interpret it whether somebody was high or not in a meeting, and then tell them if they could share or not. Like, he started doing a few things that, like, really just made me and a few people mad, because how are you going to tell somebody that if they didn't say they're using in a meeting, you can't tell them that they're using in a meeting. You know what I mean? If they're on like maintenance medication or whatever they're on their normal medication prescribed by a doctor. Like, if that makes them sleepy and they're in a night meeting, you can't tell them that they're on some kind of substance. Like, that could be very, very damning to somebody. You know what I mean? Somebody could leave a meeting and go use and maybe not come back. And there was some pain that came along with me leaving that home group, because I had a lot of ties with it, and so there was a lot of just emotional pain that went into that, because I was so close with a few people. um, I wanted to wring this guy's neck, man. Like, I wanted to find this. I was just like, I was early on in recovery. This was my home. This is my home group. Um, and so that was one that popped into my head, where I didn't really know how to act, and this was my first home group, so I thought I was going to be with this home group my whole life, and I thought it was going to keep me alive. And I was able to take that situation and say, hey, it's kept me alive for this first year. It was literally at, like, right at my first year, clean, that all this kind of went down. Um, but it was painful, because I just, man, I thought there were people in there that, I was a little closer with than I was, and it ended up not being the case. I know it's probably a stupid kind of example, but it's the first thing that popped into my head, Milan. Um, Building those relationships new in recovery takes a lot of effort, and so when you have to lose those because maybe just a home group issue is pretty painful, and it just makes you kind of go, why the hell am I doing this? Um, but pushing through that withdrawal pain was probably the toughest, and then coming to that other side. That's why they say don't leave five minutes before the miracle happens. It seems all cliche, right? We talk about like how it made me so mad when people used to say that kind of shit. But it's so true. It's so true, and it rings in my head today. So I'm so glad that the, like, OGs of these programs have used to just throw that at me constantly. Keep coming back. It works if you work it, all that little shit. So this too shall pass, man. Tom, when you were sharing about your stuff, like, you got to understand, if you're listening here, like, I don't care what you're going through right now, it will pass, right? And it's like, it's a fact that we feel, but, like, these feelings aren't facts necessarily, right? Like and so if you can push through that pain, you'll have a reference guide going forward, how to get through that stuff going forward again. But thank you for asking that, Milan. Great question. I love
Love
you,
you,
bro.
brother. Okay, Mr. Tommy S. At what point in your recovery did you really start to understand that all growth comes from pain of some sort? And are you willing to share about that time?
Oh man. Um, at what point? Hmm. You know, I don't know exactly what point it dawned on me that all growth comes through pain. You know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna flip this and say to you, Milan, that I disagree. I don't think all growth comes through pain. Or has to come through pain. And ultimately, I don't want my growth to have to come through pain. Um, yes, that is the most prevalent type of growth in my life for sure. Uh, and has been probably always, because I don't change things unless something doesn't feel good. That's goes back to why I was drinking and doing drugs. Things don't feel good. I want to change how they feel. I'm in pain. I'm going to get rid of this pain. The most like specific example, or the most like um the thing that I can equate it to the most is like if you're a junkie, man, if you're using, there is nothing that is going to stop you on a day from taking away the pain, right? You wake up, you need to get a fix. You know what it's going to take. You don't know what it's going to take, but you know you're going to get there. You know what I mean? That pain is like so um intense, and you will stop at nothing to change how you feel. That's that like continues on a lesser level throughout my recovery. Like there's a point at which where I am in such excruciating and such like visceral pain, um that I'm going to do whatever I have to do to change how I feel. And I don't have the option to go, get loaded right now. I've I spent years doing that. I know what that looks like. I know where that ends up for me, and it is in a far fucking worse place than it ever was. So what's my option now? I got to grow through this, right? I have two choices, or three choices. I can change the world. I could get loaded. And those two we've already touched on are impossible, and the other one is very unpleasant and not what I'm looking to do with my life. Or I can change the other thing, and that's myself. And good news is that's the only fucking thing I can change, right? That's the
Yeah.
only thing that I have the ability to change is me. Now, it's not super clear sometimes how I have to do that. Fortunately, we have a group, um, multiple groups. We have a program that gives us ways to achieve that change. And that's, we are so lucky to have that. Normal, quote unquote, air quotes, people, a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have a group where they could go talk about their problems and get advice from people and actual methods to achieve that change. So we're lucky to have that. But I'm forced to change myself, right? That's the bottom line. And ultimately, thus far in my life, true, it has often come through the most painful scenarios I have found myself in. But I don't want that to always be the case. I believe that it is possible for human beings, whether they be drug addict, alcoholics, or not, to evolve, for lack of a better word, enough to a point where change comes through, or growth comes from a place that isn't necessarily painful. The understanding and the connection to the universe, God, the world, your family, whatever it is, whatever force is out there, that you realize that stagnation is unpleasant in itself. You know what I mean? You don't find yourself necessarily in a in a pinch, or in a financial struggle, in a personal struggle, in a relationship. You're not pissed off at somebody, but that we are ever changing, ever evolving human beings, and the idea to growing is part of our DNA. And I want to learn more about other people. I want to grow and understand other points of view. I want to become more this or more that. And, I'm open. I believe it comes with openness. I think this is my like roundabout way to getting to this point. I walk around, generally speaking, well, in kind of a closed up state. And I can imagine it with my like rib cage, right? Like there's like a invisible barrier around my chest. I feel very much from my heart and my chest, and I have this like closed cage around it. And that's painful. I walk around and things bounce off it, and I hurt and I get hurt and I hurt others, and I, walk through, and that's where I find myself in places of pain. If I can, you know, open this, and if for those of you listening, I'm doing this thing with my hands. If I can open this cage, um, and just allow things to come in and pass through me, and through that, there's growth. Um, I feel so much better, man. I am not twisted. I am not all nutted up and frustrated. I had this experience yesterday, and I'm not sure if this is going to make sense. I'm I'm uh I'm working on this remodel project for some clients, and we're doing some concrete work at this apartment complex. And we have these plans, and boy, we've been back and forth for months and months and months, and we got them, and we started work 2 days ago, and I get this message from this woman who's part of this group last night. Oh, well, I've rethought this, and let me think about what if we change this. And my initial thought was, are you fucking kidding me? Like frustration, like we are moving, we are late, we are too late to make changes, and we weren't too late to make changes. The changes needed to happen last night so we could do them today, but we weren't too late. It was the 11th hour. It was frustrating because I was coasting, man. Like we've checked all the boxes. We're ready to go. This is the fun part. Now we're working. And this message came in, and I was immediately frustrated and immediately nutted up. And it took me, I don't know, 30 minutes or an hour to like sit with it and think about like, really, is it ultimately, I think her idea is probably a good one, and
Um,
it might be a nice change to this
mm,
project. And can we do it? Sure. Is it going to take, I don't know, an hour or two of my time today to go make sure that we implement it? Yes. But I mean, that's my fucking job. A, um, B, like, why waste this emotional energy being frustrated on something that I could have just taken for what it was at the moment, and evaluated it with from a clear perspective, as opposed to, oh, I don't want to fucking do this perspective. That's a small example of how being closed off and being not being open to the world and the energies and the things that are coming at me, that can throw me sideways. And it doesn't affect me like it once did, for sure. That sort of thing could have affected me for multiple days and bled into other parts of my life and whatever. But it still made me tense up, and it still made me go, ugh, like, God damn it, like, fuck, why did she have to say that? We were so good. We were so close to just blah, blah, blah. And then it spins me into like, oh my gosh, this is how this whole project's going to be. And we're going to be doing it. And maybe it is, right? Maybe it is. But what can I do about it, right? Can I get super frustrated and get aggressive or get standoffish with these people? Or can I accept and be open and take things as they come and lead from a place of love, right? Because ultimately, everybody just wants the same thing. Everybody wants a beautiful solution to this remodel. And that's what I want too. So, um, yeah, it's a matter of me remaining open, and I'll do whole meditations sitting there, imagining my like rib cage, not my actual physical rib cage, but like this metaphorical cage in front of my body being open, and just like feeling what's coming in. And that feels so much better than being closed off to everything else, because it's impossible. If I'm fighting to keep the world out, I'm going to lose every time. So that in itself is an act of acceptance. And it's slow. The process is slow. This growth process is slow. Um, but I got to keep trying it. And Milan, that was not an answer to your question. I'm sorry. That was not
You
at
know what?
all.
That's how we roll here, Tommy. So, okay, at what point in my recovery did I really start to understand that all growth comes from pain of some sort? And am I willing to share about that time? I do like your point there, Tom. I think that should have been phrased how all pain offers the chance for growth. Because I do believe that all pain does offer the chance for growth. Like if you're experiencing a discomfort, you have to take a look at what your preference is in the universe that is blocking you from not having that discomfort. And where inside that your surrender is. And so, like for me, I don't always put two and two together. Like when I pretty much died and then came into recovery, my initial surrender, I like didn't I didn't associate that with the pain of dying. Like I just felt that freedom of that surrender and enjoyed that. And now I associate it completely with the turning point of dying that night in the hospital. And, and that changed, that was like my course correction. But, for myself, going in my first step forward, like that was my first look at peeling the onion and seeing my part in stuff. And that provided an incredible change in my feeling of shame and guilt. When I did my first step 5, it was really, really liberating. So once again, my pink cloud was like pleasure was way outweighing the pain that I was experiencing. Like that to get to that. And but as I get further and further here, I think I'm getting to some deeper and deeper parts of me. Like you peel the onion and there's the next layer, and so now, there's like I'm doing a step working group right now, and inside that, in my step 4, what I'm really looking deeply at now is my beliefs and the beliefs that I have from my early childhood that are really don't serve me anymore and are limiting me in my life. And so now I see though that those things were painful scars kind of put onto my heart. And like you were saying about your cage, right? It's like every time you close your heart, a little bit less love can flow through. Right? Like, and closing your heart, closing that cage means you get less love. Not just, you don't just protect your heart and your heart grows huge inside that cage. It's like love has to flow. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah.
And so what I'm seeing is that these beliefs and scars from my life are kind of blocking that flow right now for me, and addressing them and confronting them and surrendering them is a painful process again that leads to that liberation. It doesn't stay as painful as long, but to go back there and to see it and in some cases experience shame or guilt at having held on to these things that are really just useless to me right now. Like I fought a lot as a kid. I always had to fight. One of my fundamental beliefs is that people are attacking me when they're talking to me, you know?
Huh.
And so what does it do? It makes me defensive and it makes me reactionary to them. Why? Because turning around and punching someone out to be able to run away was a really good thing in my childhood. But it's like transferred to a completely dysfunctional part in my social interactions, you know? And so, yeah, it's like, I think for me, what I'm seeing more and more in my life is that it's okay to go through that pain or discomfort to get to the other side. And in fact, it's really worth it. It's really worth it to do that work that hurts, you know? And because every single time I have, it's been some kind of liberation in some way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Now, Andrew, you got a question for Tommy?
I do. All right, Tom. So how do you know and spot when pain is trying to teach you something? And what do you do?
It's interesting. I so I'm gonna say this. I don't necessarily. I don't I oftentimes am blind to it. Like it's so um insidious and slow growing, this pain, that oftentimes I don't even notice that I'm in a bad spot. It just becomes my life. I start living in this, low level of discomfort or anger or frustration, and I become a dick. And that's just how that's just the person that I become. The this is the importance of having people in your life that you trust and who know you. Because be it friends in Alcoholics Anonymous, um, people in your life, personal relationships. My wife is really good at pointing this out for me, and my
In a nice way
sponsor.
or nasty way?
Well, that's another fucking conversation. But
Depends.
um,
Okay.
it nice enough, not in a nasty way, not the way, not the like tender, loving, oh, let me help you through this period way that I would prefer. That's what I want, how I want somebody to treat me.
Subtle
um
sternness.
yeah, it's tough love. It's, hey man, this is untenable for your family. You're not, you need to refocus, what's going on. And initially, my knee-jerk reaction in that situation is negative. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm fine. Like, I do all these things and look at what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah.
You're off
But
track.
yeah, totally. And what I need ultimately is, this is kind of the cycle. I need a minute away. And I don't leave in a huff and a puff, but I'll be like, hey, I need a day. I need a weekend. Sometimes she'll say, hey, you need a weekend. Go figure. I can see that things are
I love that.
difficult for you right
You need
now.
a
Go,
weekend. That's funny.
go take a minute.
Yeah, man.
And I will. And I'll go take a minute. And inevitably, every time I'll leave in this place of like, frustration. They don't get me. My kids don't understand. Blah, 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 this like huffing, puffing. And at some point, when I remove myself from the situation, the frustrating situation, it like slowly, the cloud slowly starts apart. And I'm given this realization of like, oh, whoa, like maybe they're right. And by the end of it, it has dawned on me that what they're saying is correct. And mind you, this could be my wife, this could be a sponsor, this could be a friend that, is honest with you and is very upfront and knows you very well. But having an outside perspective is so crucial for me, because I am crazy, admittedly, in many ways, and I get these blinders on, and I get in this echo chamber in my head that says, dude, you are right. You are dialed in. They are fucking wrong. The world is wrong. The world is crazy. You are just right on track." And in my clear and rational and sober moments, I know that that's not the case. I know that, like we've said, change can only come from yourself, and you can only change yourself. And I know that that's what needs to happen when the outside world is not doing what I want it to do. If I find something to be disagreeable in somebody else or something else, it's always something I need to work on internally. And for me, it's so important to have those people in my life. Without them, I will slowly become less and less, um, happy and more frustrated with the world, and I begin to isolate, and then I get myself into a real problem. Whether that does include drugs and alcohol or not, I become very unhappy and very antisocial. Um, so I need people to check me. I need people to, and that's another reason why I like to go into meetings and tell people what's up. Because if I don't for a while, I know something's wrong. If I go in there and I'm like, oh, things are fine. I don't need to share with these fucking people what's going on in my life. That can like raise alarm bells, like, uh-oh, well, why don't I want to tell them what's happening? What sort of tricks is my mind playing on me that it trying to keep me isolated and trying to keep me alone and trying to keep me away from human interaction? Because that's where I get into trouble when I lose out on the desire to like connect with another human. So my pain is sneaky. I don't really notice it until it's pretty intense, and I, find myself in a spot where I need to take some pretty dramatic action. It's when I can listen to other people in my life who know me well and see, because I don't hide things very well from others that know me. I can go out and bullshit somebody on the street, a close, quick interaction, no problem, regardless of how I feel inside. But it's the people that are with me on a regular basis and the people that know me the best that can see it very clearly that I'm struggling, um, that I'm slipping into a spot that isn't pleasant for them to be around, but more so like I'm in pain. I'm feeling off and need a readjustment. So it's a matter of listening to that advice and taking them at their word, whether I feel it or not. And ultimately, every time that I do, and I say, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe I do need, whether it's because I do want to feel better or I just want to get the fuck away from them for a weekend, I'll take it. And inevitably, every time I'm like, oh man, you were right. Like this isn't how I want to live. Not only for them, because they want me to be a happier, more present, better father, husband, fill in the blank. But ultimately, man, I don't want to be in that spot. It's been something that's dawned on me lately is, and something that I'm working on personally, both in and out of recovery, in other modalities, be it reading or therapy or whatever, um, is my I don't want to miss it. Like I don't want to miss life. This is it. You know what I mean? Like, am I always going to be fucking working towards being happy or being whatever? And I don't think that's successful or that's possible, working to get happier. It's a matter of like accepting the moment and being in the moment because this is it. This is the fucking time to be whatever, peaceful, happy, serene, whatever the word is. Like now is the time. If not now, when? You know what I mean? And I don't want to miss it. And I have lived many years, maybe my whole life, um, missing it to a degree, one degree or another. Like sometimes greatly missing it, other times just sort of missing it. And I don't want to keep bouncing back and forth and doing that. Oh, this is a good day. This is a bad day. This is based on what happens to me that day. Like I don't want to live in that situation anymore. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not there. I certainly am affected by things that happen to me or things that I do or whatever, things that I find to be agreeable or disagreeable. They definitely affect me every single day. I'm not by any means saying that I've achieved this goal, but it's the idea, the phrase has been popping into my mind lately. Um, this is it. Don't fucking miss it, and I don't want to miss it, man. I want to live it. I want to be happy. I want to be present in the moment. And this has been a personal struggle for me my whole life. And it is probably for most people, most addicts and most people, living in the future, living in the past. the idea of acceptance and being present in the moment. And it's so important for me to get to a place where I can be there. I can, and I don't know exactly the route to it. And I don't have, I mean, like I said, I've been reading and talking a lot about it. I don't have the answers, but I do believe that it's just a matter of acceptance. Ultimately, it's this like, it's not about doing certain things to become more happy or become happier or become better. It's not about taking action to do it. It's just ultimately a step of full acceptance into the present. And that's challenging. Doing something by not doing is a hard concept. If it was, hey, go complete this 6-week course and you're going to be fucking present, I'd do it. You know what I mean? And that would be easy. But it's not like that. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. And that was a total tangent, but that's
I love that.
Those are the best. Those are the
Yeah.
best. And I'm
Yeah.
sure, and I'm sure it's written all over your face a lot of the times too. Like the people that love us see our faces every day, and they see our eye contact, and they can tell when we're in pain, man. You know what I mean? They can tell. All right, cool. I'm gonna ask you a question. Milan, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
How do you know when pain is trying to teach you something? And what do you do?
How do I know when pain? Man, I love that Tom kind of said it's like a difference of timing there. Like for myself, I'm pretty reactionary, you know, pretty reactionary, and I as well have to remove myself, But one of the things that like I've been saying that I've been doing quite frequently. Gosh, it's like almost coming up on 3 weeks now of the two-way prayer, and I've been doing that every morning. And part of my questions in it, are how to bring more love into my life, how to, bring less fear and more faith into my existence, how to enjoy growing more. Like these are some of the questions that I'm asking, and some of the questions that I'm getting answers to. And so for me right now, you know, um, that reflection whether it's in the two-way prayer, whether it's walking my dogs, whether it's in my prayer while I'm walking my dogs, or while I'm doing yoga or something, those moments alone are my moments of reflection. I'm not in a fight in the middle of my kitchen with my wife going, how am I going to grow through the pain right now? Like that just doesn't happen. Hey, hold on a second, honey. I need to grow in this pain, because really you're causing me a lot of pain. And like, that's it's never that moment, but I would say that recently, I've been really reflecting a lot on what was the source of that pain, like what was my motives that caused that pain, and I'm really, I'm really trying to grow deeper in my love right now, like in the whole understanding of the concept, but in the pureness of it, where it's like if I catch myself keeping a tally of any sort these days, I'm like, keep no record of wrongs, keep no like that's something I'm saying to myself, so in these moments of pain, you know it's usually in my moments of meditation, reflection, or two-way prayer where I'm listening, or exercise. Exercise is actually one of my favorite meditative reflection points, because it's actually where my body is busy enough to give my mind a chance. Otherwise, I'm a fidgety person. You watch any of these podcasts, and I'm bouncing and shifting and moving more than anybody else in their little square. And so when I'm doing exercise or some kind of physical work it provides me the opportunity to distract my body enough for my mind to have some time. Yeah, and for me, like quite often it'll be in some other action and some answer or solution will come to me when my body's fully distracted enough that my mind actually has a second. And so I really, it's mandatory for me now to do action, like to be on my physical schedule of my walking and my yoga right now. And, and I certainly feel more contentment than I've ever felt in my whole life right now. Than ever, than ever. I've had some real just contentment. If the last month repeated forever, I would say, yay, I'm great with it. Let's go. And that's it
That's
for me.
amazing.
Nice, man. That's dope. I love you, Milan.
I love you
All right.
too.
So
I love you both.
answer that question. How do I know when pain is trying to teach me something, and what do I do? So when I thought about that question, now as I think about pain, it's almost like a signal for me. Like what I wrote down was it's my spiritual check engine light. It's like a spiritual check engine light, right? Like when I'm in pain, emotional, physical, whatever it is, it's almost like God's tapping me on the shoulder, like, bro, you got to pay attention here, man. You're about to learn. You need to learn something. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where y'all came in with the like, I got to pause and remove myself from the situation today. I didn't have that pause button in active addiction, but y'all said it, man. You can pause. You can take a day, take a weekend, sleep on it, pray on it, and a lot of times those answers come naturally. As long as you're staying clean, you're staying honest, that rigorous honesty you talked about, Tom, like it's very important, honest with ourselves, um, going to meetings and use, going to the meeting for what the meeting's used for to get some of that pain, let go of some of that pain, take away some of that power of that shit that you're dealing with. And, so it's like my spiritual check engine light, right? Like before when I would get my check engine light in my car, I would just run that bitch till the wheels fall off, drive with my eyes half open, hoping it's not going to break down. And so today when I get that check engine light, when it's tapping into me, I go, man, I take my car into to the mechanic, man. I have him look at it, get a diagnostic test, talk to my sponsor, go to a meeting, tap in with my group, tap in with my people that know that when I'm in pain, they're going to ask me those probing questions to try to figure out what's going on with me. Those people that I give that spiritual guy, okay to come in and whip my ass, man. Like that's what I need around me is connection to those people, because they're going to keep me peaceful when I need peace. That's why it's very important for me to provide them peace too, when they're not peaceful. It's a give take relationship here on the communication and the connection part. So pain used to just be pain. I would run from it. I would avoid pain at all costs. You know what I mean? Pain was something I just did not want in my life. I don't need pain. I don't want to come up to the next painful situation. And then when I did, I would just put drugs on it. I put some chemicals on it as a an artificial means to get through pain. And it didn't work. It didn't work. I mentally thought it was working, but it was just the chemicals. Meanwhile, my body's just going crazy. Like maybe it's hyped up, it's ramped up, maybe it's not, maybe it's slowed down, whatever it is, man, your bodies don't want to go not naturally. You know what I mean? They want to stay right where they're at. And so what I do is I have some warning symbols, like I have some warning signs. I know that when I'm doing certain things, when I'm acting certain ways, that's when I know I'm at that turning point of that pain where I got to address something, right? Like if I'm avoiding something, like if I go a few days and I avoid something, I'm writing it down on my to-do list and I just don't do it, I'm avoiding it. I'm trying to avoid some kind of pain with that situation. My ego gets in the way a lot. That ego and pride will step in like, I got this. No, that's where we got to surrender. Look, I got to let go. It's about letting go. It's a program of surrender, not self-improvement, Tom. That's what I heard. Right. So I got to out surrender this thing, bro. I got to out surrender this thing. I can't go to the gym to try to build up muscles to try to tackle this shit, man. I gotta step 1, 2, and 3. I gotta admit I'm powerless. You know what I mean? And then I've got to address the situation, turn everything else over. You know what I mean? I gotta do that for myself. And so when I feel spiritually disconnected or resistant to change, that's when I gotta have a conversation with myself. You know what I mean? And so to finish this and bring this home, like the key for me is not to just like feel the pain, know I'm gonna be better. Yes, that's gonna happen, but where I can be proactive with the pain thing is I can ask it questions today. I can literally have a conversation with that pain on like why, where, how to get here, how am I going to get rid of it, and if there's some kind of proactive measures I can take to get rid of it, that's what I'm going to do. You know, sometimes that lesson is patience, sometimes it's stepping away from the situation, removing myself, and looking at it, and maybe talking to some people about it. You know, sometimes what do I have written down when I was sometimes it's just letting go, like I said, surrendering. You know, sometimes it's just trusting God's got a good plan for you, man, because like it works out. Why tells me like with or without all that shit, with or without all the material shit, the cars, the clothes, the shoes, the girl, I'm gonna be just okay. Why, Tom? Because I've been okay so far, right? Like it's like I've been okay so far. Why am I gonna burn the place down thinking that I'm not okay? I'm here. I'm alive today, and I've got the willingness. You said the willingness there too. I got the willingness to move forward with this process. Don't let this one situation that's painful for you bog you down to the point where you don't like you want to go back to that old way of doing it. Because look, putting drugs or a drink on anything is not going to make it better. Never ever has anybody told me that doing one of those two things has made any situation better. Long term, short term, anything. So if you can prove to me otherwise, we can talk. But like until then, like I'm not with that. So yeah, that was my answer, man.
Love that.
Love you guys, man.
You got another question for me, Tommy?
Sure. And I just want to preempt this with I have about 20 minutes
Me too.
until I have to take my son to a surf lesson.
Okay,
Me too.
we can all
I
answer
get
this
to take my
question.
son to a surf lesson.
That's
I
right,
get
you
to
get
take
to.
him to a surf lesson.
Yeah, we could all answer
Leaves
this
in the
one.
pool problems.
And
Yeah, great.
yeah.
Okay, how has learning to forgive yourself and others played a role in your healing and growth as a man in recovery?
Woo. Well, the forgiving myself is still a work in progress. You know, that one, like I said, I feel like, you know, the moral inventory is kind of like peeling an onion. And, you know, I peeled as deep as I could the first round. And then there's like, you know, still stuff underneath. And I'm not sure I'm going to get to the center of that anytime in the next year or two. You know, like I feel like that will probably be part of my lifelong journey. And part of my addiction has really messed with my memory. And so, you know, like there's just I'll drive by a house and be like, holy shit, I did that there. And something will pop up in my brain that I had completely forgotten about. And then I've got to go through my emotions about that. Like, it's not like I just have this perfect hard drive of like all my wrongs and I get to like just like, you know, work on them all at once. There, and maybe it's the universe's way of not overloading me with self-pity and shame, you know, and guilt. But it's definitely still trickling in. But I definitely feel now that like now that I'm looking at things where I'm actually going to like my part and seeing, you know, what is, you know, the fundamental problem with me when I'm experiencing that defect or shortcoming and acting out on it, is that now when I can recognize what's happening in someone else, I can actually forgive them because I can see what fear it is that's causing it. And I never used to have that understanding or compassion. And you know, it's something now where I think more than ever I can see that because I see it in myself. Whether I can actually have entire compassion for it or forgiveness for myself, right now at this point I'm finding it easier to forgive others in that circumstance. You know, um, and it's just a work in progress. You know, I am like 99% guilt free compared to where I was before I came in the program. Like I want to say that first step 4 was a doozy of getting rid of guilt for me, you know, but it's still um it's still just stuff pops up, and there's some things that it's like, you know, you're living amends on, and things are changing, but you're still digging yourself out of a pretty huge pit on what you've done to some people. You know, like some of that stuff's going to take years and years and years and years to even start to rebuild trust and a healthy relationship in. It's not just like, whoa, here I am sober. Okay, we're all skipping into the forest holding hands together. You know, like it's just not like that. And I'm seeing growth and changes. Like one of the things, I don't even know if we told you that. I don't think it happened. Okay, so since I've seen you last, Tom, my daughter came in and took a 3-month chip. She went to the international conference with me, and now my daughter's going to meetings with me like 3 times a week.
Wait,
Proud of
I
that
thought
girl,
I
man.
saw your daughter in town the other day, Milan.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
wrong?
she was there. No, she was
Yeah,
there. Yeah, but she
yeah.
was not drinking and she was not doing any drugs.
No, I didn't notice
Yep.
that, but I thought I saw her on the street and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
she's back.
Yeah, so she was there for like 10 days.
Ah,
But
cool.
but yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
but through that I have felt already some massive growth and healing in our relationship. Like absolutely the gears of amends and rebuilding of trust and love are in action. And it's 100% due to this, what I've learned in this program and the changes that I've made and the work I've done. So I'm forever grateful for that. I think that's my
Oh yeah,
answer.
great answer,
I
bro.
love you guys.
Love you back. I'll take that question, Tom.
Let me read it to you again.
Hmm.
How has learning to forgive yourself and others played a role in your healing and growth
It's a great
as a
question.
man in recovery?
Great question. Someone told me a long time ago that forgiveness is the final form of love. Like if you can forgive somebody or forgive yourself, that's kind of like the ultimate form of, you know, self-love or being able to love somebody else, because you're kind of letting down all those walls, all those resentments, whatever it is, and you're forgiving them, you know, regardless of how they feel about the situation. That's why it's so powerful. You know, when you forgive somebody, that's your part. It doesn't have anything to do with them. You know, so you know, I realized early that like punishing myself like never really helped me grow anywhere. Like when I used to, cause I used to punish myself for all the shit that I did. You know, all the shit that I did in my active addiction, lies, cheating, stealing, the betrayal, the all the opportunities that I squandered, like everything that I did, I feel like I couldn't reel back from that. There was no way to get on the positive side of this thing, you know. And it was like an insurmountable task. But you know, it kept me very small, like internally, externally. Like I felt like I used to walk around not looking people in the face. And it's when I did the step work, man. When I finally put my effort into this step work, and specifically steps 4 through 9, that's when I really began to figure out what forgiveness really is. You know what I mean? Because I'm realizing how to remove myself from the situation more and more every time I do some more work on myself through the steps. You know, I remove myself from the situation and I am able to be a little more spiritual in every situation and take these spiritual principles I'm learning as a result of doing the work. Are you playing a song on a song? Are you
No,
song?
I hit my microphone and the spring
I'm
was
just
ringing.
messing
And
with
I
you.
tried to grab part of it, but it wasn't the part where it was
I
ringing.
thought we were doing an outro music. So it wasn't until I did that I could understand like what that true forgiveness is and how powerful it can be as a tool, and being able to utilize that going forward. So the start of that is it's being able to help me understand like my own humanity. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect. You know, I'm who I'm supposed to be. You know, I'm who God made me to be right now, like in this moment. Like don't worry about yesterday, tomorrow. Like we'll deal with it when it gets here. It also gave me like free from that. Like I could able to. I'm finally able to be free from that shame and guilt from all that stuff, because it used to paralyze me. Used to get paralyzed, and then I have no other thing to do than just like use, because it's what I've been doing. I have nobody to talk to. I'm not going to go talk to somebody that's going to hold me accountable to do anything, because fuck, I'm loaded, right? I'm out of my mind. So um the forgiveness piece, the final form of love, that's the real important part for me, because love is everything for me. Love and humility. You're a humility guy too, Tom, I think. But love
Yes,
and
sir.
humility are my two jams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have that. I have love and humility jam on my toast every single morning. And it's just my thing, man. And so it helps me see, and it allows me to love myself and others. That forgiveness piece. It allows me to finally become unchained from this thing that I felt like I was going to always be anchored to my whole life. I felt like I was never going to be able to release all the chains. But when you can forgive, and then like mix it in with a little surrender of a lot of these things that you can't control, and then forgive yourself, and it's outwardly start being able to love and forgive other people regardless of what they're doing currently. It's a game changer for me, man. Like, all that mixed together is an absolute game changer. And it's what my body and my mind, body, and soul needed to be able to feel strong enough to push through these things, man. Like, I can't just come in here on one level, mentally okay, but I'm physically fucked and thinking I'm gonna push through anything. I got to be right on all calibers, man, because I've been running on nothing. I gotta start getting this engine running. You can't run part of the engine and think you're gonna fly 60 down the road. You got to get the whole thing going, man. You got to have some oil in the tank. You got to have some transmission fluid. You got to have the piston, like all that shit's got to work together, or it's not gonna happen. And so, being able to recover from active addiction and to be able to stop using the things that I was using all day, every day, it takes a level of commitment to yourself long term and other people, and commitment to health, and being a better person long term. So forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness is huge. You're really not going to push through anything if you're holding all these resentments. You're not forgiving anybody for anything, and then you're in turn not asking for forgiveness. You're not a good person. You're not going to really be flowing around with a lot of friends and thinking that like this is a great place to live. Like lean into the forgiveness. That'll help. So that's a great question, Tom. Thanks for asking. So, thanks for being here, man.
Yes, Tommy, it's great to have you again. Bring it on
Missed you.
home with your response.
All right. So what came to mind for me is I entered Alcoholics Anonymous, and the first time I heard the promises, I thought that they all sounded pretty fucking crazy. But one in particular sounded extra impossible, and that was, we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. I thought I came in with so much guilt and so many regrets that I thought there's no way I'll ever be able to get out from under all this stuff. Like, in fact, when I started working a fourth step and it was write down all your resentments, really my only resentment was me. I was internalizing all of this shit and thinking I'm a bad guy. I'm a piece of shit. I did all these things. Nobody else is to blame, blah, blah. That's how I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. Um, Now that evolved over time and through growth and work and steps and whatever else. Turns out I did have some fucking resentments. And turns out it wasn't all regret. But initially, that was how I felt. I felt like, no way am I ever going to not regret the past. That was my entire existence. My entire being was a number of what ifs and should have done this that way. And if only I hadn't, fill in the blank. Um, and that I thought would never leave and never change. And yeah, through that's why a step 4 and a step 5, and frankly, all the steps before and after are so important. But those in particular started to show me, or at least give me some idea of why I behaved the way that I behaved. And I don't think that I was a selfish lying prick, thief, whatever, because I was an alcoholic. I think I'm all those things because of something deeper, right? Like I'm an alcoholic because of these are all symptoms of some sort of spiritual sickness or trauma response or whatever. Um, they're all from a deeper issue. They all result from a deeper issue or issues. And doing the work, be it the steps, initially, certainly the steps were the first like light that got shined on all the things that were underneath. But throughout the years, more work and self-exploration and therapy and more sets of steps and peeling that onion back more and more and more. Um, I'm given a greater understanding of who I am and how I work and the reasons for that, be it biological or circumstantial. What makes me tick and things that maybe I am responsible for, things that I'm not responsible for, kind of getting a better idea of who I am and why I am what I am and all those things, has allowed me to not only understand myself more and have a little more compassion and tenderness for myself and my circumstances, but also it's allowed me to appreciate what I've done and who I am and what I've been through and look at it from a different light. Like yes, these are things that I have done in my past that maybe I'm not super proud of or wouldn't do it if I could do it all over again or whatever. But because of these things, I am who I am now, and I'm special and unique in that sense and have potential to connect with somebody who I might not be able to connect with otherwise, whatever, mainly my children. Like I am very similar to my children in how one child in particular, like how we are wired, and I went through life without somebody who I could connect to on that level. I went through life thinking I was crazy or thinking I was different or thinking I was fucked because nobody understood me. Now my son is like that too, to a degree. But speaking of the devil, I know we're gonna leave in 2 minutes, buddy. 2 minutes.
What's up, little man?
He said it's time to leave for surf. So I believe that forgiveness and self-forgiveness has been, instrumental in getting me to where I am now. So that's my answer. I want to leave this. I want to close this podcast by putting my money where my mouth is and telling people where I'm at right now and asking this listenership that you guys have, maybe putting this out there into the ether. But I am in need of a sponsor. I have a sponsor who moved away, and we've kind of, we talk, but it's not the same. And so I'm putting it out there to anybody that's listening that wants to take me under their wing. I am looking to work steps and get back into it all. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So if anybody wants to, reach out to you and is in the market for a new sponsee or feels moved to reach out to me, I don't know how you can get my contact, but it's certainly
They can get it through me.
Us, and we get through me too.
They can
Me
get
too.
it through us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm actively shopping for a sponsor.
Woo!
So
It's out there.
I love
It's in
that.
the universe.
Yeah,
It's out there.
putting it out there. Well,
it
thank
out
you
there.
for coming back, Tom. You got
Thanks,
something you want
Tom.
to say here, Andrew, before the end?
No, man, just push through that
Okay.
pain, bro. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Push through that pain.
I love you guys, and tune in next episode for more recovery fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Tom.
We love
Love
you.
you. That was cool, man.
Bye. Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.